Hello everyone, you alright? Welcome or welcome back to Guitar Lessons by E.O.A. In today's lesson, we are going to be continuing on from polychords. So this is Polychords Part 2. Okie dokie, so I'm going to teach you some more polychords. C13 flat 9, which equals A over C7. And you play the chord like this. You put your first finger on the first, second, third, from the first to the fifth strings, E, B, D, E, B, G, D, A. Then you put your first finger on the fourth string, second fret, then your third finger on the third string, second fret, like this. Then you put your pinky on the sixth string, third fret. C minor 11, which equals a B flat over C minor. And you play the chord like this. So you bar the first, second, third, and fourth strings, the top four strings, then you put your second finger on the fifth string, third fret, then you put your third finger on the third string, third fret, and then your pinky on the second string, third fret, like this. Next one, C major 7, which equals an E minor over a C. So you play it like you're playing the E minor, like this. I'm sure we all know how to play E minor. Second finger, fifth string, second fret, third finger, fourth string, second fret, and then you put your first finger on the second string, first fret. So this is a C major 7, which equals an E minor over C. Okay, next one, which is number 4. A C7/6 chord is equivalent to an E minor over C7. And you play the chord like this. So you hold the 6th and the 5th string on the 3rd fret with your thumb. So you press the 6th and 5th string on the 3rd fret with your thumb, like this. Then you put your second finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, your third finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and then your your first finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. And the high E is muted. Or you can play it like this. So you bar the 6th and the 5th string with your pinky, and then you can play the high E if you want to. C7/6, equivalent to an A minor over C7. Now the next one, and this time it will be in the key of B, B for Bravo, is a B-7, which is equivalent to a D over B minor. And you play the chord like this. So what you do, you hold the 6th string, 2nd fret with your thumb, Then you put your second finger on the 5th string 2nd fret, like this. Then you put your first finger on the 1st string 1st fret, your third finger on the 3rd string 2nd fret, and then you put your pinky on the 2nd string 3rd fret. So it's like you're playing the D minor. So yeah, so it's like you're playing the D minor, but you also add the 6th string 2nd fret with your thumb, and then your second finger on the 5th string 2nd fret. So this is B-7, which is equivalent to a D over B minor. Now, if you guys don't know, in polychords, sometimes the bottom triad will be an incomplete 7th chord, usually 1-3 flat 7, or an incomplete triad, such as just the root and the 3rd. Now, if the 5th is not included in the C triad, then it would only have the sharp 5th. So basically, when you're playing polychords, if the 5th is not included in the C triad, which is typically in the bottom chord, so let's just say C7, if the 5th is not included, then it would only have the sharp 5th or the natural 5th. So basically, it would only have the sharp 5th if the 5th of the C triad were not included. Now, if you guys don't know, not every note in a polychord is necessarily part of a single extended chord. The notes in a polychord represent the notes of these individual chords played simultaneously, and is not necessarily a single larger extended chord. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that the notes of each individual chord are all included in the resulting polychord. This is because polychords are essentially 2 or more chords played simultaneously, and the result can involve doubled notes or notes that are not present in either of the individual chords. For example, C7 flat 9 sharp 11, which equals a C7 over an F sharp minor. Right, so the notes of C7 flat 9 sharp 11 is C, E, G, B flat, and then the flat 9 is the C sharp, and then F sharp is the sharp 11th. However, in the resulting polychord, F sharp and C sharp are not part of C7, and also the A note is not included in the F sharp from the C7 flat 9 sharp 11, because the A note is the flat 3rd of F sharp minor. But when it comes to the C7 flat 9 sharp 11, the A note is not included in the chord. However, in the polychord, those two notes, C sharp and F sharp, are not included in the C7, and the A note is not included in the polychord. So, which means when you do play the polychord, 2 or 3 of the notes will not be included. It will be omitted. So which goes back into, when you play a polychord, it doesn't necessarily mean that all the notes of each individual chord are all included. Why? Because notes can be doubled or not present. A polychord doesn't always have to represent or include all the voicings, because it uses different tones. A polychord represents different chord structures, and it doesn't have to always represent all the notes. Otherwise, it can cause or create dissonance, which is something that we talked about last video. Dissonance is something that causes tension. Music that sounds too harsh to the ears, which doesn't sound nice and sounds incomplete. So to avoid the dissonance, notes can be doubled or omitted. So this is how you play the C7 flat 9 sharp 11 chord. There's the root, C, the third, the fifth, the flat 7, there's the C sharp, and the fifth. So the fifth is doubled. As we mentioned before, polychords can have doubled notes. You see, G is doubled. G is played twice, the root, third, flat 7, and then the flat 9th, which is the C sharp. Can you see that? So it kind of looks like a B7, however you like. And this is a polychord, a C7 flat 9 sharp 11, which is equivalent to a C7 over F sharp minor. Thank you guys for watching this video. My name is Elizabeth, the owner and founder of Guitar Lessons by E.O.A. Stay tuned for more.